All right. So thank you for joining. I am going to give everyone a minute or two more just to join in before I get started. But while we're doing that, I thought might as well do a little bit of housekeeping. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for joining. This is the second webinar that we're doing through Silverdale Business. The first one was around how to get hired and how to hire the right person. And then at the end of this presentation, I'll give you a couple of pointers at what's coming next. But as far as AirMeet goes, there is a section it'll be to your right, which has a chat option where you can interact with each other. But more importantly, there is a Q&A section. So if you have a question that you come up with while I'm going through the presentation, then by all means pop it in there, and we have a bit of a time at the end to answer those. There is also the option just to pop the question in the chat, but the problem with that is that I might miss it. So do put it in the Q&A if you can. So it looks like a few more people have joined, but I might just wait another minute before we get into it, and then we can go straight in. But I will bring up the presentation and we can at least see the first slide. All right, so I might just get into it now. If anyone joins a little late, there will be a recording of this. So if you want to go back and see what's at the beginning, by all means, I will send that out. But first of all, for those that don't know who I am, my name is Matthew Edwards. I am actually the vice chair for Silverdale Business, along with Theo, who is the chair, and some of you may know Tasha, who is she's basically the workhorse behind it all. But part of the business association, and one of the things that we really wanted to get off the ground, was the opportunity to basically teach the local business community things that anything and everything that can help grow your own business and that sort of thing. So as I mentioned, the first one was about how to hire the right person, and for the general public, how to get hired. This one, in all honesty, I took a little longer to get the person that I was looking for to do a presentation, which will be next month. So I ended up bringing one forward for social media and running that myself. So Mars Digital, as you can see on the slide here, that's my business. And I founded Mars Digital around about 2.5 years ago, but I've had over a decade of experience in the industry. So just so you know who I am and where I'm coming from, and that I'm not just some random dude telling you what to do on social media when you know a bit more than I, sort of thing. Right. So if we're looking at social media, basically an effective social media campaign can do wonders for your business. If done poorly, not so much. From this presentation, basically we have a short agenda. Firstly, an introduction to social media marketing, which will be coming up next. Then we're going to look at choosing the right platform. Does social media affect SEO? And for those that don't know, SEO is search engine optimization, and I'll touch on that a little bit more later on. Then we're going to look at how much should you post, or how often should you post, what should you post, and what about social media ads, or specifically Facebook ads. So the introduction to social media marketing. In January 2021, there were approximately 3.97 million social media users in New Zealand alone. This number has increased by 110K, which is about 2.8% since January 2020, and roughly correlates to around 82% of the population, which kind of goes to show why it's so important that any business, no matter what it is that you're doing, should be on social media. Now, the average business allocates only around 15% of their marketing spend to social media marketing, with some small local businesses averaging between 25 and 35% of their revenue, not just marketing spend, that's worldwide, by the way, being put into that social media promotions. Whereas the biggest startups allocate around 75%, or up to 75%, I should say. Obviously, this is skewed heavily by technology startups, such as the one that is in the screenshot here, Canva, which I am going to touch on a little bit later on. But like I said, the average is significantly less. The daily average spend, again, globally, is around $350 New Zealand dollars per day on social media marketing, which is, I'm going to assume, more than what most people are spending and what most people are going to budget for. But it's a huge number. It's overtaking things like Google Ads, search engine optimization, and basically it's the primary driver these days for a lot of businesses. This was done by a study by the Content Factory, and like I said, it's a global figure. But they also found that the average organization, and I touched on this a little bit, spends around 13% of their revenue on social media marketing. So where do you start? Well, first of all, we've got to choose the right platform, and that goes nicely into the next part here. There's several social media platforms, but the main ones, or the common ones, are Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Then we need to create that brand's profile, or your brand's profile, on those social platforms. And in fact, getting that set up is sometimes a little harder than it sounds. But even just claiming that name is worth doing. So if you've started your business and you might not think you're going to use LinkedIn, it's still worth creating a company page on LinkedIn just to claim your business name there, even if you don't use it. And then lastly, we're going to need to grow your social media audience. So this is where you start posting, engaging with people, connecting with your audience and your customers. And effectively, you can look at social media like creating a community. In fact, that's exactly what it was designed for. When you have places like Facebook, when they started out as a place for people within Harvard University to connect and engage with each other, it kind of gives you the whole idea of why the term social media is social aspect. It is where groups of people who have some sort of like-minded interest can come together and go, this is what I want to talk about, or I want to know more about this and that and blah, blah, blah. So it is really about creating a community. So what is the right platform? Obviously, there's a lot of different businesses on the webinar at the moment, so I can't really go into what is right for each one of you individually, but we're going to take a quick look at the main ones, which I've got up on screen here. So you got things like Pinterest, TikTok, Reddit, LinkedIn, Snapchat, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Those two are obviously the very common ones. And then even WhatsApp. So WhatsApp can even be considered a social media platform to a degree. I've gone one too far. So the share of New Zealand social media by platform, YouTube is the most common. Obviously, this is a video sharing platform and is loosely considered a social media platform because you do still allow for the interaction between a group of people. You know, you've got someone sharing their ideas, and then the comment section. And YouTube has implemented a community hub now as well, where people can engage a bit more like a social media platform. Then you have the pure social platforms like Instagram and Facebook. Facebook, they're with around about 83% of the New Zealand population, or 82%, I should say, on Facebook. Then you have Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, and TikTok being the newest addition down towards the bottom there. So YouTube and WhatsApp tend to break our standard thinking of what social media platforms are, or what social media is. But put simply, social media platforms are websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or participate in social networking. So this is where I was talking about YouTube having that little extra bit that you can now interact with people, or the fact that you've got that comment section and people posting videos to share ideas. So WhatsApp, on the other hand, this is primarily used for communication, or at least in New Zealand, it's used primarily for just one-on-one communication, but can be used in group context pretty easily. In fact, I'm sure several of you have had a WhatsApp group before. And for businesses, it does allow quite a streamlined way of communicating with your direct customers, either through plugins on websites where people can contact you directly through there, or click to call buttons and that sort of thing, which utilize the features of WhatsApp. So I'm going to touch on a few of the platforms individually. The first one being Facebook. So when should you use Facebook for social media marketing? The 5, I guess, big key things to think about when it comes to Facebook is that, first of all, it sends the most referral traffic to your website more than any other platform. So when it comes to Facebook, if you're trying to drive traffic to your website, it's perfect. The focus is on news and entertainment, so you need to be a bit more about what's relevant, or what's happening, what's going on in, well, either in your industry or in life in general. And then it has a strong emphasis on video content. So if you can do this in both a bit of a text form as well as a video, then it works well. The average user of Facebook is 30 plus. And it is good for both B2B and B2C. So the reason for that is, effectively, so many people are on Facebook. So many people. So the fact that there are that many people means that you're going to be able to get in front of and target business owners if you're a B2B, or marketing managers if you're someone like myself who deals with marketing for other companies. Or you can get in front of Joe Blogs and sell them the latest tool, or the latest car that's just come out. Instagram, on the other hand, is highly visual, so it works well for both static and video content. But unlike Facebook, you don't get that blurb with the text. It is not optimized at all for driving traffic to your website. So most of what you're going to be doing or interacting with clients has to be done within Instagram. You effectively have to sell them on what you're offering there and then before they get to your website. It's also very well suited for strong visual brands. So people like photographers, for example, will get a lot more value out of Instagram than they will out of Facebook. They'll also get more value if they're a graphic designer, or if you're a interior designer, for example, because they are very, very heavily weighted on what something looks like in the outcome. And then, of course, you've got the average user is actually below 35 years of age, and mostly female. So this is where I say it is going to be ideal for B2C. That doesn't mean that B2B is not going to work on Instagram. We're just talking about the average here. LinkedIn. Well, this one is the B2B platform, effectively. And I've got it there at the 4th point, but it really should be the most important thing to say about LinkedIn. If you're targeting businesses, or if you're targeting certain roles within a business, then LinkedIn's the place to go. It's a professional networking platform that realistically revolves around industry-specific content and sharing related articles and professional information effectively. So the average user is in a professional role or a business owner. So it doesn't mean that everyone in there is going to be corporate, but a lot of them will be. And if we're looking at on a global scale, you see more corporates using LinkedIn for everything from recruitment to their own marketing and even some internal communications, because you can have your public profile for or public company page as well as an internal page and get set up for alerts when Joe Blogs who works for you posts something on LinkedIn, which is kind of scary in some ways. But if you're going B2B, you need to be on LinkedIn. Then the last one I'm going to touch on is TikTok. And it's not specifically about TikTok, but rather the smaller platforms or the newer platforms as they come into existence. So generally speaking, the newer the platform, the younger the demographic. So for example, with TikTok, we have the majority of the audience being between 16 and 24 years old, and around 60% of those users are female. So younger audiences will adopt the newer technology a lot quicker. The same thing happened with Instagram when that became, or when that started to become popular. It was the younger demographic, and there was a while where I was saying that the average user is around 25. That has expanded to being about 30 now, 25 to 30. But the newer the platform, the younger the audience. So if you're targeting youth, for example, then these are the sort of things that you need to look out for. What is the latest trend? In this case, it's TikTok. So what about the others? Other social media platforms are a bit more niche or haven't taken off as much in New Zealand. Pinterest, for example, is highly visual and geared towards finding inspiration more than anything else. So it can work well for renovation-based businesses, but not so much for an e-commerce store or even someone like myself, even though if I build a website, it is obviously a visual thing, but it doesn't translate very well to Pinterest. Snapchat, that's in a similar boat to TikTok. And then we have a couple of other platforms that I will touch on, which is Reddit and Twitter, when I'm talking about the SEO in the next section. So how do we manage all of these platforms? And how do you actually create that content? There's going to be three different other platforms or web-based apps that I show off or discuss briefly at least, which is Canva. And that's a freemium-based application which allows you to create posts and presentations. This presentation, for example, I created using Canva, documents, and a variety of other graphics. Next, we'll also look at Hootsuite, and that is another freemium web-based application for managing social media accounts. So you can aggregate a whole lot of accounts into Hootsuite and then post out to them either individually or en masse, as well as schedule posts. So Hootsuite does, the free version of Hootsuite does allow you to add 2 platforms. So if you are doing, for example, Facebook and Instagram, then you can just use Hootsuite. Or if you're doing LinkedIn and Facebook, you can use the free version of Hootsuite. It is worth mentioning at this point that if it is just Facebook and Instagram, you can connect your Facebook account to your Instagram, your Facebook and Instagram accounts together and post using Facebook. The inbuilt scheduling tools will allow you to do that and post to either just Facebook, just Instagram, or both, and set the day and time, very much similar to Hootsuite. But I'm going to demonstrate Hootsuite because that one it's more designed for people that are looking for either multiple rather than just 2, or doing two that are unrelated, like I said, Facebook and LinkedIn. And the final one here is Social Champ. And this is one that I actually use internally with Mars Digital to manage a variety of accounts. The account that I have with social media, with Social Champ, can have up to 500 accounts and 50 different users, all interacting and publishing content and collaborating together on that. So it's a premium social media aggregator. Doesn't have a free version at all, but allows for effectively an unlimited number of connections for an account. So if you had LinkedIn, you had Facebook, Instagram, you had Twitter, you have a Facebook group, which I'll touch on as well, then you can use Social Champ to post all of those, modify content between them, or whether it's one or two words, and post that out. All right, so social media and SEO. When it comes to SEO, social media does have a big impact. And that's because Google and other search engines have noticed or they're not dumb. They know that social media is a massive part of what's going on in the world, and that they need to make sure that any social cues are taken care of, or at least acknowledged when ranking websites. So even someone like or a platform like Google My Business can be considered in some capacity a social media platform. It is there to generate positive reviews and people mentioning your business and writing about your business. So it does allow you to interact, and you can post regularly to Google My Business as well. But it kind of breaks that assumption of what social media really is. So I've left it out of that previous part, but it can be considered social media. And in some platforms like Hootsuite and Social Champ, you can connect a Google My Business page to it so that you're able to post out articles or blog posts effectively to it, as well as your other social platforms. So with social media, if you can generate positive reviews, so Facebook, for example, and have people mention you frequently in posts, then this is going to drastically improve your SEO rankings. When it comes to keywords, Google looks at, and I've made a spelling mistake there. That's awesome. Google looks at hundreds upon thousands of factors when determining the rankings of websites. Several of these can be improved through social media. So, for example, for me, if I'm posting something on social media and I mention the fact that we do social media marketing for businesses, Google will pick that up and correlate the fact that I've posted it and I've mentioned social media, social media marketing specifically. So I therefore must have something to do with social media marketing. If I then link to the social media marketing page on the Mars Digital website, it will pick up that and have a look at that content. And if it correlates, then I am more likely to be shown for social media marketing when you search that in Google than if I hadn't done that post. So there's several different things that you can do when it comes to social media to improve your SEO ranking. It's link building, which I just kind of touched on then, especially Reddit and YouTube. So if you're posting videos to YouTube, make sure you link any relevant page, or specifically one relevant page, to the YouTube video in the description. Link your other social media accounts as well. And if you're doing blog posts, it doesn't hurt if you've got the time to actually post them out to Reddit as well, or at least a sneak peek, and have a link going back to your website to read more. Activity level is extremely important as well. If someone is posting regularly, then they're more likely to be considered an active business by Google than someone who's posted once 6 months ago, but hasn't done anything on social media since. So if you create a social media profile and you post once, and then you never post again, if you're not updating the content on your website, Google will assume that there's a possibility that you are no longer actually in business. So you need to make regular updates somewhere for the search engine to know, okay, this company still exists, they're still doing things, and therefore we should promote them. The last thing that Google or any search engine wants to do is have a defunct company that's no longer operating dominate the top of the search results just because it was relevant for the keyword. The other thing that you want to do is increase your social influence. And the best place to do that is Facebook and Twitter. And that's getting more mentions and people tagging you and posting about your brand. And then reviews, public standing with Facebook. I mentioned that already. And locality reviews with Google My Business. So Google and Twitter have actually entered a formal partnership. And this now means that Twitter is the most important social media platform when it comes to SEO. Tweets are more likely to get indexed than they were before. Links from tweets have a greater weight, and Twitter is now the best place to try and build that social authority. Unfortunately, Twitter is not overly popular in New Zealand, and I spent the last 10 years telling businesses not to bother. I've completely changed my tune and have started telling anyone that I speak to about social media that Twitter is important and you should create a Twitter account and post to Twitter whenever you're posting to Facebook or any other platform. So at the moment, because Twitter isn't as popular in New Zealand, if you are focused just on the New Zealand market, you don't need to create Twitter-specific content. You only need to worry about getting something out on there, using the hashtags, I'll cover that as well, and having links going back to your website. If you're able to do that, then you are going to have a huge leg up over your competitor who hasn't bothered. So now probably the most important part that you've all kind of wanted to learn about, and that's what should you post and how often should you post on social media. So consistency is key. It is by far the most important thing on this list, but the 8 things to really consider, or 8-ish things really to consider when you're creating a post is, first of all, consider your audience. Who are they? What matters to them? And why should they care about what you're posting? Consider your industry. So what is relevant to your industry at the moment? Is there anything big happening? Are there changes? That sort of thing. 3, use video. Or if you can't, or if it's not appropriate for what you're doing, pose a question. And then 4, less is more if you're consistent. So again, this goes back to that consistency is key. You're much better off posting once a fortnight or once a month than posting once a week if you're only going to do that for the first month and then forget about it. And most businesses, I will say once a week is enough. Some instances, once a day is better, or even if you're an e-commerce store selling things like makeup, for example, then multiple times a day is perfectly normal on Instagram. But for most businesses, once a week is perfectly fine. Just don't come up with 5 or 6 posts, post them all in the first week, and then go, I have no idea what I'm going to post for the next 3 months, and do nothing, because you're going to lose your audience. Create a schedule. So this goes into what I was just saying about the consistency being key. Create a bit of a schedule. Work out what you're going to post over the next few months, and either create the posts beforehand, sit down on a Monday and just bust out a bunch of posts. Okay, I'm going to create 5 or 6 posts that are going to be me for the next 3 months, whatever it may be. Think about the content in the sense that you don't want to oversell as well. So this is the 6th point. When it comes to marketing, in fact, this rule applies to a lot of different things, but there is the 80-20 rule. 80% of the content that you should post should be about providing value to your clients, to your customers, basically giving them free information and building up a reason for them to engage with you. And then the other 20%, so you've got 4 posts saying, here's some solutions, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got the 5th post that says, okay, we've told you all this, now buy this product from us. And this product has all the solutions involved in it that I mentioned before for that problem that you've got. So it's 80% telling them about how they can fix a problem themselves or whatever it may be. And then 20% going, we have this product that makes it a whole lot easier for you. 7th point, look at adjacent topics. So just because you only do one thing doesn't mean that it has no effect on something else. For example, if you're a builder, you can do a post about plumbing. You can talk about something that's to do with the building industry, but not specifically what you do. Maybe there's a big change to the plumbing regulation or so forth. You can post about that, and your audience are going to be grateful, because although it's not necessarily benefiting you directly, they see it and they go, oh, I didn't know about that. My plumber hasn't told me about that. I'll contact him, but you're going to get the credit because you've told them. And they know that they should go back to you whenever they have anything building related, because you are obviously on the ball when you're telling them that they need to make sure that something else has changed here or there. A good example of that would be there's a recent law change for employment. So a lawyer could post about that who doesn't deal with employment law. Maybe they only deal with property and title changes, but they post about that because a lot of their clients are either going to be employed, which most people will, or own a business, and therefore the law will affect them directly. And the last thing is use hashtags and @ tags. So a hashtag, everyone kind of knows what they are already, but it's basically saying this post is about this topic, and you can search those different topics and come across posts. The @ tag is when you're tagging a specific person or another page or company. And an example of that one would be if you collaborated with another business on a project. For example, we built a website which has just gone live yesterday for a company called CleanHas. And we haven't done a post for them yet, but we could do a post on social media for them. But we didn't design the site. The site was designed by RedSpark Creative. So I could tag RedSpark in that. And then not only do I get in front of my audience, but I also get in front of RedSpark's audience and say, hey, check out this project that we've just launched. It's really cool. And now I'm getting in front of all of their people, and they know what I've done or what we do. So eye-catching content. So this is a big topic. You really need to create something that is going to stand out visually. For example, there's a few things here that have created some sort of visual stir over the last however many years. Down that bottom left there, you've got the McDonald's ad where it basically looks like a couple of people are about to kiss, but it's actually a guy about to eat a burger. Then you've got the Stats New Zealand image here, for example, which is to do with import taxes and export tariffs to America. And I don't think I'm going to have to tell you what that's referencing. You've got Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola always do extremely visual ads and make sure it's edited to hell and absolutely crisp. Then you've got ones like this one here where you've got the cat and with the lion's mane, and then you've got bits like this here which are they're visually appealing and minimalist. And then you've got ones that kind of make people a little uneasy as well, whether it's sort of, well, there's actually no real examples of that on here. I haven't put one in because for obvious reasons. But there are, you can use imagery to make people feel uneasy, or you use bold colors and striking imagery, or you subvert expectations, or use cute animals, which is what we've got here. So that flows on nicely to this slide, which is basically have high quality images, use bold striking colors, as long as your brand allows for it. Use cute animals, again, if your brand allows for it. Action shots portray a feeling. Subvert expectations or create discomfort, which is what I mentioned, and minimize text unless it's part of the post or a massive part of the post, like an inspiration post. So how do you find the right hashtag? There's kind of 3 points for this. You can use something like Hashtagify, which is a website that tells you all about a particular hashtag, gives you examples of other related hashtags, and you can look at how popular they are, as well as the trends, whether it's trending up or trending down. And then you have things like Letter, or a platform like Letter, or Social Champ, which give you hashtag suggestions. Letter is a platform which I won't demonstrate, but it's specifically for Instagram, and it has a calendar, a visual calendar that you can use. When it comes to hashtags, the other way you can look for them is stalk your ideal customer. So go onto their profiles, the public ones, obviously, have a look. What are they hashtagging? What are they posting about? And what is relevant to your business? So if you're a travel agency and you go onto your ideal client's page on Instagram and you see they're hashtagging the South Island regularly, use that hashtag. They're more likely to see your post if you use the same hashtag as them, as just having a stab in the dark. Thirdly, check out your competitors and industry leaders. So competitors, I'm talking about local competitors, either within New Zealand or within a specific region. And then industry leaders, I'm talking about global. So see what they're posting and see what they're using as their hashtags. And again, pull out the ones that are relevant for you. Don't pick too many hashtags. So one of the common problems, or one of the common issues that people encounter when they're posting, is that they just spam a hell of a lot of hashtags, as in 20, 30, 40, and your audience is never going to see that. Go for around 7 hashtags, but make them as relevant as possible. And then don't pick hashtags that have too many posts either. So if someone is, if you're posting something like hashtag travel, no one's going to see that post. It's going to be there for 30 minutes, if that, within the first visual scroll area, as in, like, if someone flicks it and scrolls through, they might see it. But there's so many posts going to hashtag travel that the chances are that someone's going to see it, and let alone someone from your ideal audience is going to see it, is next to none. So again, use a tool like Hashtagify to check popularity and trends. Within Instagram itself, you can type a word like travel, and you'll see how many posts have been posted to hashtag travel. Right, so creating a post live. I have been effectively given permission by Kaz at Pause Perfect to create a post on her behalf. And sorry, I'll just read a comment. Okay, so yeah, a hashtag, to go into the detail of what a hashtag does, it's kind of like a category or a topic. So a hashtag is if you're writing a book, for example, and you send it out to a publisher, blah blah, it gets published, and now it's available to purchase on Amazon, right? You're going to go into books, you go fiction, nonfiction, and okay, now it might be about astrophysics, and astrophysics is the category that it's under, or the topic that the book's about. Hashtags are the same thing, except you can come up with anything. You can have acronyms as hashtags. You can have a random string of letters as a hashtag if you want, but it would mean nothing and do nothing. But it's effectively a topic or a category, very similar to blog posts or books, music genres, anything along those lines. Think of it like saying this post is about that. And then from a user's point of view or a customer's point of view on Instagram or Twitter, if they see a hashtag on a post that they like, they can click on it and see a whole lot of other posts that have that same hashtag. Or if they're interested in learning about a topic, they will often search a word, and the platforms will give a bunch of different hashtags as options for them to look at. So another example would be Terreo. If you search that into Instagram, you will see a couple of pages, for example, a couple of profiles, but you'll see a whole lot of hashtags that are related to that, as well as hashtags that the most popular pages use for, well, that are related to that hashtag. So it is kind of like a searching algorithm add-on in a way, and allows you to get in front of people that have an interest in that particular hashtag or that particular topic. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second while I switch over to another one. Right, so that will come up in a second. So Kaz from Pause Perfect, whose Facebook page I am on here, has asked me to create, well, I asked her if I could do it actually, to create a bit of a post and use it as an example to send out during this presentation. So I'm going to create the post live, but I will admit straight away that I have created them previously and sent them to her for approval. So I've also connected them into Hootsuite. So this is where I'm going to demonstrate that platform as well. But before we get into that, I'll just show off Hashtagify. So Hashtagify, when you go to hashtagify.me, and in fact, I will copy this and throw it into the chat quickly. All right, so with Hashtagify, when you've put in a hashtag, in this case, I've used hashtag SMM, which is social media marketing. It tells me the popularity, recent popularity, and the trend. So you can see here that the popularity in total is around 73.9%. Recent popularity is down a little bit compared to other hashtags, but it is starting to come back up. And then we have a bunch of related hashtags to that. So hashtag marketing, hashtag business, content marketing, social media, digital marketing, growth hacking, which is a pretty popular term around social media, and hashtag SEO, which obviously I've mentioned earlier about SEO and social media working together. You also have a bunch of other statistics around the last couple of months and how things are tracking, the top languages for that, and spelling variations, i.e. in this case, it's SMM all in capitals versus lowercase and then capital S. And then whereabouts is this hashtag the most common? This looks primarily at Twitter, but it is a very good resource for both Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, although hashtags have a diminished effect on Facebook as opposed to Twitter and Instagram. So Canva. If I just go back to the home here. So with Canva, when you sign up, I've got the paid version, so I do have a few more little features, but there's also a free version which will have 90% of what you see here. In fact, as we go through, I'll tell you what is and isn't paid. So we can just jump straight in and go, I want to create an Instagram post because that's going to be square and it's going to be about the right size. So this is, again, I will copy this in for those that don't know Canva or have never used it. So it's just canva.com. And there's a whole lot of templates that you can use and create just from scratch. Edit it with your colors, edit it however you wish, and you're good to go. In this case, I'm going to create two different posts. One I'm going to create from images that I've got and uploaded, and others are ones that, and the other one is going to be straight from a template. So if I search in here dog, because it's to do with paws dog training, we've got a whole lot of different options that come up. So you can scroll through these, find one that you like. Ones, if you hover over them, some of them you see here say Pro. That's available to me because I have the paid version. Whereas other ones, like if I scroll up a bit, this one here is free. Most of the nice ones for pets seem to be paid, but there are plenty of free options as well. It's probably giving me a few more that are paid because I do have that paid version. So as I keep scrolling down, there's plenty here. And instead of trying to find the one I'm looking for, I'm actually just going to go straight into recently used, and you'll see a bunch here. I'm going to grab this one here with the pug. So with some of these pro options, we actually have a very good illustration which allows us to change the colors on everything. So for example, if I wanted to make this pug's this pug's tongue red, I can do that, or I can keep it as the pink, make it white, whatever I like. But in this case, this post is pretty close to being perfect. The only thing I want to do is I want to make sure it's got the right colors for the brand, and that it has the right font for the brand as well. So we can get that from the Paws Perfect website, or because I already know it, I can make those changes directly. So in this case, I'm going to click on the font box here, and instead of that font, I'm going to pick Fauna 1 and just adjust the size. Let's just go 60 pixels. And so that's the font that's used throughout her website. So we're keeping it in context with the brand. And if I click on this background here, then I can select and change the color. And I will just pull up where I've got the color for this. We're going to use the pinky color from her logo here. Right, and that's effectively the first post that we're creating. I'm changing very minimal amounts here. The next post, I'm going to jump in. In fact, just a couple of little details. We'll make sure that it goes right to the bottom. Perfect. Okay, so the next post, I'm going to get rid of that background, but we're going to create this from scratch. I'm not going to use the templates that Canva has, but I've got a vision in my mind, which was basically 4 boxes. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes showcasing 4 different undesirable behaviors in dogs or puppies, and we're going to use that as is your dog doing this? Then you need to give us a call. So this first post was really more to show you that there are a whole lot of templates that you can use to great effect and make them your own. Right, so I've uploaded a bunch of images that you can see here. These are ones that I've got through Deposit Photos, which is a subscription service, or you can either draw them up yourself. You can find them on Google, but just be aware that ones like this or images that you find on Google, they may have some sort of copyright involved that you need to watch out for. Right, so I am going to need to split this into 4 sections. And to do that, I want to go into my elements. I want to find lines and shapes. We're just going to click all so you can see what it looks like. And I'm going to find a square. And the squares are going to be free, of course. So we're going to take the square, I'm going to throw it up against the corner here and drag it until it basically tells me that's halfway and that's halfway there. Perfect. So now I've got the size of the square that I need, and I can just copy, Control-C, Control-V that, and throw it into the other 4 corners. And then I can change the color of each of these individually. So for example, this one, I'm actually going to have it white, so I could delete it, but we'll just leave it there for now. This one here, we're going to make this the blue color. So I will just grab the blue color. Sorry, we're going to make that one the green color from the post. So click on the color, and to add custom colors, you click on this document color, the plus add new color, paste in the code, or you can use the bar and search function there. But we know the exact hex code that we're going to use, so we're going to throw that one in. Then this one is the pink. And it will save the color that you're using in this post. In the paid version, which you can see here, we've got brand colors. So these are the Mars Digital brand colors that I've saved. And then the last bottom left square, we're going to use the blue from the logo. And again, paste that one in. All right, so now we've got the 4 boxes, and we're just going to scroll in. That one looks slightly off. Yeah, so we're going to, you can, by the way, use this to just say fit or show all, etc. But that's not as important at the moment. You can go back to uploads, and we're going to throw in 4 different images here. And let's go with, well, the ones that we want to go with, pulling on the leash. So we're just going to throw this here for now. We will change up the sizing and everything so it looks good. We're going to throw in the dog eating food off the table. We're going to have the dog that's barking. That one's got a bit of a white background, so it makes sense that we put it on the white. And then we're going to have dog jumping up in the blue. So with a bit of resizing, we'll make this work, but the idea is pretty much there now that you can see. So we're going to just have this around about 400 wide, 398 close. And then this one here, we'll have that. So this is obviously an alternative to Photoshop. You don't need Photoshop, and you don't need excessive Photoshop skills to be able to use something like Canva, for example. But if you are good at Photoshop and you do use it regularly, then you're obviously going to be able to create these sort of images yourself and so forth within that. So then let's just want that to be about there. And these lines, by the way, that pop up, you can see there how I've got a line that's coming across the center and vertically as well. That's telling me that it's in the center of this box. If I bring it further over, now it's just centered vertically. And if now it's not centered at all, but if I go along that vertical line until it hits that box there, now it's centered vertically and horizontally with the blue box. So that's how I've been looking at that. So this is the post. It's a rather colorful post, which utilizes the colors of the Pause Perfect logo. And now we're going to actually post that out. So to do that, we're jumping over to Hootsuite. Let's wake up Hootsuite. Hootsuite is, and I'm aware we've only got a few minutes before this is supposed to end, so I'll go through this quickly. I'll assume you know how to go to hootsuite.com and throw in your email and sign up. Yes, Pixabay is very good for royalty-free images, and there's another one called Pixels or Pixels. I'll just pop that in the chat as well. I can't remember the actual URL off the top of my head, but that one is an option. So when you're on Hootsuite here, you can add, you've got Facebook pages, and in this case, I've got an Instagram page. You can add a variety of different platforms. I'm assuming that by this stage that you're able to go in there and you're able to add them in. First of all, let's just add a stream really quickly. So we'll go timeline. And just to show you what this looks like, it means that you can see what's on your timeline. You can see your posts, mentions, messages, etc. from all the social media platforms that you connect here. Right, posting one. Down this left side, you've got the little pencil there. We can go create a post and pop it open with this. We're going to select where we want to post it to. So we're going to go to both Pause Perfect and we're going to go, Pause Perfect Facebook page and the Instagram business page. And now we need to add in the text and the media itself. So if I open this up, you won't actually see this one, unfortunately, sorry, but I've opened up one of the little windows for me to basically select the image that I want to throw in there. All right, so this will show up in a second. So this is the Facebook post, and we're going to add in that text as well. So if I can just, because I created it beforehand so that Kaz could make sure that it was okay and on brand, as opposed to me just creating something out of thin air and posting it for her and then her shaking her head, and helps if I copy the right spelling. There you go. If you spell something wrong, it will underline it for you. There you go. So what we've done here is we've got the 4 signs you need to give us a call. 1, your dog is pulling on their leash. 2, your dog is stealing food from the table. 3, your dog is jumping up on people. And 4, your dog is biting or nipping. And we're going to actually add some lines in to make this nicely visible, or nicely readable, I should say. Right, and We will also link the Pause Perfect website in here as well, just at the bottom. Okay, when you do that, you will get this option to shorten the URL or add tracking. I'm not really going to go into this to save a bit of time, but shorten the URL if it is extremely long, and add tracking for Google Analytics so you can see what posts are bringing traffic to your site. Now, you can select multiple files to upload. It is worth mentioning that if you're doing that to Instagram, it will send all the files to Instagram, and then you need to post it manually, just because of Instagram's API and how it works. But if you're doing a single image and video, or single image or single video, then it will work. Right, and let's go hashtag dog training NZ and a hashtag the dog. Right. So that one, a good dog, is a bit more comedic, whereas dog training NZ is rather specific. And here's our post. That's what it's going to look like. And then here's what it's going to look like on Instagram. Now, we've got the option to schedule it for later. So this is where I said on a Monday, knock out a bunch of posts. You can then jump into Hootsuite and go, I want to schedule you for today, tomorrow, next week, next month, whatever it is. Or we can go post now. In this case, we're going to go post now. So this will just take a second. All right, so it's been sent. It's going to ask me if I want to boost the post. It's been published successfully. Thank you. I've got that. Right, that's the first time it's been posted through this account. If I jump back into Facebook, just so you can see it, I'll refresh this. And here's the post. Published by Hootsuite. We can see that because I'm on admin, and we got the hashtags, link to the website, and no one's engaged with it yet because it's only just gone up. Instagram only just created the account, and now we've got a post. Perfect. Right, so quickly, I just wanted to show you what Social Champ looks like. It allows us to have a whole lot of different things, including Facebook pages, Twitter, LinkedIn. We've got Instagram Business there. I've connected my Google My Business profile to it, and a Facebook group. So again, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we'll just jump over to the presentation again quickly. And I'm really conscious of time, so thank you all for bearing with me. So Facebook ads, I was going to go and try creating an ad, but because of time and because the fact that I actually didn't get permission on it already, delayed permission, I won't go into that detail yet. We can do that in another webinar if you like. But just quickly, why should you boost, or why shouldn't you boost? So when we posted that post on Facebook through Hootsuite, asked if we want to do a boost. The boost button is, generally speaking, not something I recommend, but it does have its place. So if you're wanting to extend the reach of the post easily and quickly, then it works well. But what you miss out on is all the added tools and the added benefits of using the Facebook's Ads Manager. So just really quickly going through this, boosted posts are the fastest way to create an ad because you've already created the post, that becomes the ad. It has objectives based on views, but no e-commerce based objectives. So if you're trying to sell a product online, boosting a post is not ideal. You have limited placements. They will show in the news feed, they'll show on Instagram, and they do show on Messenger, but that's it. The format is whatever your Facebook post is, i.e. generally a square, or sometimes a bit of a rectangle, but generally a square. Standard calls to action, limited targeting, so you can look at interests, behaviors, age, gender, location, demographics, that sort of thing. Facebook Ads Manager, though, it obviously requires you to set up Ads Manager, and it is another tool that you have to get used to, but it does have a range of objectives. So you can use store-based or purchase-based objectives. You can have a variety of placements. The objectives actually change how the ad bid works and how the costing functions as well. So it is worth having the objectives set up properly or using the right objective. Variety of ad and placements, so stories within articles, and the audience network. So that's sort of like Google remarketing, where you see ads on other sites like TradeMe, for example. You also have a range of different formats, as well as custom call to action buttons and advanced targeting. So things like custom audiences or lookalike audiences, where you can upload a list of email addresses into Facebook and say, I want to target people that have similar interests, personalities, blah, 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 as these people. Obviously, you don't get to know exactly what those traits are that it looks at, but it does say, okay, we're going to have it as close to these people as we can. And it looks at a huge number of factors. And you can say, I want it within a variance of 1%, 2%, 10%, whatever it may be. And it will tell you the audience size as well. So, questions. Finally, get to the Q&A section, and there's quite a few. All right, so Kayleen has asked, if I write a post on my personal Facebook page, or Facebook or LinkedIn page, and share it with my business page, should I use a different hashtag, or should I different hashtag effectively giving me tasteful double hit of hashtags? So it really depends. The short answer is yes. The long answer is, but only if it's relevant. So if you're posting something on your personal LinkedIn page, or the other way around, if you're posting it on the business LinkedIn page, and you use a couple of hashtags that are relevant, but then you post it on the other one, whether it's personal or business, and then use a different couple of hashtags that might be more relevant to that audience, that are more likely to listen to it, to the article or to the post coming from a personal versus company, then definitely. If it is something that you've forgotten to include a hashtag, then definitely do that as well. But if it's not relevant, or there's not going to be much of an additional benefit, i.e. the audience isn't as strong, or it's not as related to what you're posting about, then don't bother. But generally, yeah, that would work quite well. We got example, if you share a post from someone else's Facebook, which you think your audience might like, is that when you use an @ tag? Okay, so in this case, you're sharing a post that someone else has already done. When you do that, it is going to come up with, in fact, I can probably stop sharing my screen so you can see me talking. But when you share a post that's already been made, it's going to tell everyone who sees that who's made that post. So there's no point doing the @ tag. They already know who it's come from, and that person will see the fact that it's been shared. And if your page or whatever you're sharing it from is public, then they will be able to see that you have shared it specifically as well. So I wouldn't bother with an @ tag in that scenario. Twitter, is Twitter more popular in Australia? Yes. It is more popular in Australia. They're slightly more American than we are, and jump onto similar sort of social platforms as they do a lot quicker. Whereas Actually, it's probably people like me who made Twitter as well not so popular in New Zealand, purely because for 10 odd years people weren't really using it, so we told businesses don't bother using it, and if people aren't using it for business, then they won't use it for personal. But as I'm going around saying you should use Twitter, and more people in the SEO industry go around saying you should use Twitter, then obviously you sign up for a business profile, you're more likely to sign up for a personal profile, and then that'll expand and so forth. So it'll become popular here, but at the moment, yes, it's definitely more popular in Australia. And then for the website updates that affect SEO, can they literally be anything changing one word? Yes. Yes. So for SEO and updating a website, Google will pick up just the change of one word, but you're a lot better off doing something like a blog post, even if you do a quarterly company update as a blog post where you say, hey, we've done these amazing things this year or this quarter. Here's a few examples of our work, or that sort of thing, and have a blog post where you, or a blog section or updates news section where you put that information. That's going to be a lot better because Google will see the related words around that, which will help with SEO, but it's more of a content drop, and Google loves content. So just replacing one word, yes, or updating one word, yes, it will show that you are actively doing things on that, but it's not really enough to make it have a benefit as opposed to reducing a negative aspect. Hopefully that one makes sense. Cool. That actually looks like all the questions that are in there. And let's just jump quickly back into the presentation. There's only a couple of slides left, I promise. Right. So let's keep the conversation going. You can reach out to me by email by going to, or emailing matthew@marsdigital.co.nz, or going to the website and using the contact form there, or just checking out what we do. So that's marsdigital.co.nz. You can follow me on social media, or Mars Digital specifically on social media, facebook.com/MarsDigitalNZ. Mars Digital is taken, which is why you should, Instagram.com/MarsDigitalNZ, LinkedIn.com/company/MarsDigital. That company hadn't taken the LinkedIn page, so that is again why it's important. And if you want to learn more about digital marketing tips and tricks, for part of this presentation, I actually created a private Facebook group. So you can join that, and the idea is that on a weekly basis, I'm going to be doing short video content, not this length, like 5 minutes, just going into little bits about digital marketing, whether it's SEO, social media, looking at email marketing, that sort of thing, and just giving some few tips and tricks, and you can get the benefit from that. So to join the Facebook group, just go to facebook.com/groups/MarsDigital. And there's a couple of questions that you'll need to fill out, like name, company, just so I know the sort of audience that we've got and I can create the best content for that. Right. A few closing remarks. So Bronwyn Newcomb from Devonport's Law, who did one of the previous or was on the previous Silverdale business webinar, is doing another webinar through Business North Harbour. And that is on the recent law changes, the employment law changes. It's Thursday, the 8th of July at 12:30 to 1:30 p.m., 12:30 to 1:30, yep. And you can register for that by going to silverdalebusiness.co.nz/BNLC. I will type that out in the chat in a second. Next, you can, next we've got July's webinar being with Jerome Jacobs of Rise Advisory, and that's going to be specifically on how to grow a trades-based business. And after that, actually, which has just been confirmed, the August one is about IT security, and that's going to have Marcus from North Tech. So he's going to be talking about IT security, especially with the whole DHB hack that's happened recently. It's a bit of a hot topic, so that should be quite good. And I would love to know what other topics you want to see covered in this webinar series. There's going to be one a month, last Wednesday of each month as well. So if you've got any ideas, you can fire those through to me in email or throw them in the chat. Yes, I will put the Facebook group link in there as well. And if you would like to participate yourself and hold a webinar, the whole idea is that you can get out there, promote yourself, but also provide benefit to the other businesses, like what I hope I've done here. I hope you guys have all found it useful. But you can email either myself or get in touch with Tasha through info@silverdalebusiness.co.nz. So that is pretty much it. So I'll just don't have the links written down already. I should have done that, but I'll just type out the couple of links to what I was talking about. So that first link is for Bronwyn Newcomb's presentation, or webinar, I should say, on Thursday. And that link there is to the Facebook group that I just mentioned, where I'm going to be posting more. So I'll just have a quick look to see. Oh, yeah, we've got more questions. Okay. Okay. So thanks so much. Okay. One's not really question. Perfect. All right, they're not really questions. That's fine. And I'll just check the chat before I close this off. Yep, so the Facebook link's in the chat now, as well as the link to Bronwyn's webinar. Yes, so there is going to be a recorded version. The recorded version of this will be made available when I get a chance to make sure that I've edited the front, or the beginning and the end. I've recorded that, as well as the previous webinar. I'll be releasing those as well. As time goes on, it is worth mentioning that these presentations or these webinars will become purely a benefit to paid members of Silverdale Business, or at least the idea is that's what's going to happen. But so the recordings will be publicly available for you guys now, but that may change in the future. That's all I'm putting out there. Or we may do it the other way around, where you can attend live and we have the recordings only available to paid members of Silverdale Business or Business Whangaparaoa or Destination Oreo Beach. We're working with them on this. It's kind of a collaborative approach, I guess. So by all means, if you're interested in doing one yourself, let me know. And that is it. So if you have any other questions, do feel free to get in touch. I'm more than happy to answer them, or use the Facebook group. I will be in there after this as well as the other few people at Mars Digital. They'll be able to answer any questions that you have. So I look forward to hearing from you all later. Thank you. Goodbye.